Ag Bioscience, the #1 ag tech podcast globally, is now available on video. Hear from leaders and innovators across food, animal health, plant science, ag tech, and agriculture. Mondays at 6 a.m. on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. While you're there, subscribe and leave us a review. It's the Ag Bioscience Podcast with Agronovis Indiana. Get more information at agronovisindiana.com.
This is Inside Indiana Business Radio on demand for Monday, June 22nd, 2026. I'm Gerry Dick. Former Vice President and Indiana Governor Mike Pence is on a tour touting his new book and what he calls the need for the Republican Party to return to conservative principles. He stopped by the Inside Indiana Business set this weekend.
I wanted to write this book to really start a debate in 26, and as we look at 2028, I think it'll be more important for people in our party to focus on what we're for before we focus on who we're for.
Officials in Northwest Indiana are moving forward with efforts to begin construction on the $135 million Lake County Convention Center next year. Northwest Indiana Regional Development Authority CEO Sherry Ziller briefed the legislators on the project last week. It will be built next to the Hard Rock Casino, Northern Indiana in Gary. The RDA says construction expected to begin next spring and to be complete by August of 2029. The founder of Fort Wayne-based Sweetwater says plans for a new motorsports park in Auburn have come to a halt after talks to purchase the land needed for the project ended. Chuck Sirac told Inside Indiana Business earlier this month that the vision for the track could have resulted in a more than $250 million investment. The land is owned by Daryl Doden, founder of Ambassador Enterprises in Fort Wayne. Sirac said in an email to Inside Indiana Business, Doden decided he wanted to build the track himself. You're listening to Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Thanks for listening to this IBJ Media podcast. You're probably going to remember this ad. Do you know why? Podcast advertising works. 85% of listeners recalled hearing an ad during a podcast, and 70% of podcast listeners have acted after hearing an ad. So whether you're looking to be heard across the entire IBJ Media Podcast Network, sponsor one of our shows, or just start with a 30-second ad, IBJ Media can help. Contact advertise at ibj.com to learn more.
Despite public scrutiny and complaints from inmates and their attorneys, the Indiana Department of Correction has renewed its contract with its third-party health services provider for up to another year.
Many state inmates and federal immigration detainees have raised service concerns in recent months, claiming that the staff of contractor Centurion Health of Indiana have delayed medical treatments and provided improper medication. They are accusations that federal and state officials deny. And in mid-March, shortly before the state's contract with the Virginia-based private medical provider was set to end, the Department of Correction moved to extend the contract for up to 1 year, agreeing to pay the company an additional $213 million to provide health care services to state detainees. The contract, which was first signed in 2021, will now run through March 31st, 2027. By then, the state will have spent more than $1 billion on healthcare services with the company. The latest extension gives the DOC the ability to terminate the agreement sooner, and an internal email indicates that the agency will be exploring other options again. The DOC issued a solicitation for correctional healthcare services in September, but it ultimately canceled that process on May 20th. Our partners at the Indiana Lawyer reached out to Centurion Health for comment, but did not receive a response. Alex Brown, Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Official plans have been filed in Greenwood that are expected to pave the way for the development of the state's first Buc-ee's Travel Center. The plans confirm a November IBJ report that revealed discussions between the Texas-based mega travel center operator and Greenwood officials to build the center just off Interstate 65 in Greenwood. Buc-ee's operates about 55 mega travel centers in a dozen states, but so far, none in Indiana. Forbes is out with its annual lists of the best banks and credit unions in each state. On the list of best banks in Indiana, Maryville-based Centier Bank ranks the highest, and you can see the complete list at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. This is Gerry Dick for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.